happens to those poor, unfortunate souls that don't buy it, punch their ticket, gets buried 6 feet under? Actually, most of them don't get buried, I'm assuming. But what happens, Anna? Yeah, right?
And if the night is burning, I will cover my eyes. For if the dark returns, then my brothers will die. And I see fire inside the mountains. I see fire burning the trees. I see fire hollowing souls. I see fire blood in
Well, that was a pretty cool song. Don't know what it is, but when I play it, it's going to really fit this video perfectly.
Yeah.
The Millennial. So, my name is Philip, and this is
Anna.
I did actually some research lately. I know, I surprised myself too, but so prophecies. There were 100 prophecies in the Old Testament, the Torah, the Tanakh. There are 100 prophecies about Jesus on his first coming. When Jesus came the first time. Now, in Christian, that's a century. The Bethlehem, birth in Bethlehem, the raising up in Nazareth, and the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and
Marcus just came,
John, Marcus. The 4 Gospels, and then you have the church, the age of the church, first 100 years. A lot of stuff going on, and there were 100 verses that were fulfilled there, and that was pretty complicated stuff. You got, crucifixion, you have all this stuff, the transfiguration, all this stuff, okay? Well, the second coming of Christ, there are over 500 verses in the Bible, in the Tanakh and the New Testament, about the second coming, all right? Actually, I think it's 500 in the Old Testament alone, and then in the New Testament, there's even more, okay? So you can leave your 1,000. So the first one was 100 verses, and the second one is, let's say, 500. I'm not really great at math, but it's going to be
7.
like 7 times as complicated. Yeah. I was going to go with 3, but okay. It's going to be a lot more complicated. We'll just split the difference. Go with 4. Okay, so it's going to be 4 times as complicated. Or what? Basically, we're looking at, a lot of times when we think about Jesus coming back, we kind of gloss over it. Oh, he's going to come back. He's going to take over and rule and reign, and everything's going to be lovely, and we're all going to sing Kumbaya and dance like little angels. Oh, okay. And really? Is that really what's going to happen, Anna? Tell us what's going to happen. You're an expert on this. I say you're an expert, so therefore you are.
Exactly.
You are what I say you are. You're an expert on this. So the second coming, is it going to be more complicated or less complicated?
More complicated.
More complicated. And so a lot of times we oversimplify it to our own peril. All right? And the millennial king, now that's interesting. So 500 about his second coming. And a lot of those references, it says he's going to rule with an iron scepter. So Jesus is going to come back. And we did a video about this fall, right? About the statue, Nevi's statue, right?
The different gold
and what comes down and destroys it?
A rock.
A rock.
A giant rock.
A giant rock comes out of the mountain, knocks it over, and sets up what?
The kingdom of God.
The kingdom of God. And we pray in the Lord's Prayer every day, right?
I definitely remember this.
You do. You go.
Yeah.
Don't leave me hanging.
No, I will. Just kidding.
I didn't even hurt at all. Come on, give me that. Okay, rascal can bite hard. No, I shouldn't have. Be careful what you ask for. Okay, so where was I? So the rock comes out, boom, boom. Okay, and in the Lord's Prayer, we pray that. We say, "Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." So we're praying. Actually, but Marco Heischer talks about and a lot of other people kind of realized that Eden was actually a convergence. It was a convergence of heaven and earth.
It's like one of those Venn diagrams. Earth, heaven's like that crossover area.
Eden, all right? And so that's what's going to happen eventually. Okay, so the millennial. So we have this whole apocalypse. We're not going to get into all the details on that, but a lot of cool people die. All the red shirts die. And at the end of the apocalypse, there's still a lot of people left. If you do the math, and again, I'm not 7 billion people on the earth today. You know, the Bible talks about in Revelations, a third of people die here, a third of the people die here, blah, blah. A whole bunch of people die. But there's still going to be people left. You know, maybe 2, 3, 4 billion people. All right. And then what happens to them? So that's the millennial kingdom. So Jesus comes and rules and reigns. He sets up. He has an iron scepter. Now, what do you do with an iron scepter?
You pet kittens.
You pet kittens.
Yeah.
It's your permission to pet kittens. Why? I'm not a kitten. Don't pet me. Okay. Okay. I'm a rabbit. Okay. So, I'm not a squirrel. Okay. So, a scepter is used to it's iron. It's strength. And it's the authority to reign, as that verse says, the authority to judge, the authority to reign. So Jesus has the authority to rule and reign in the power. And he comes back to heaven. He comes from heaven to earth with the host of heaven and with the angel armies and all this cool stuff. Okay. Now, one of the problems, and this is where we get some notes. We took some notes, okay, because I didn't know what I was going to talk about, and it helped me out here. So, what are the 3 battlegrounds that we deal with in our current paradigm?
Give us our answer.
Yeah. Do you know? You know? No, if not, Anna will read them. What are they?
So they're flesh, systems of the world, and spiritual.
Okay, so there are three battlefields. Okay, you have the spiritual world, and then angels, demons, devils, blah blah blah. Okay, well when Jesus comes back, that's gone. Okay, the devil and all the fallen angels, they're bound in chains and put into the lake of fire. So that is over. The systems of the world, this is the Jesus rules and reigns. That whole Nebuchadnezzar statue is knocked over. Okay, Jesus is ruling and reigning. So he's going to redeem those. Now, one thing about a lot of times when we think about Jesus is we just oversimplify things, like I said, and just everything's solved all of a sudden. Yeah. No, he rules and reigns, and he has an iron scepter, and that's not to pet kittens. That's to beat kittens with. No, it's to rule and reign and kick some butt. All right, corporal punishment is in session. Jesus presiding. He's gonna. Okay. Anyway, and there's going to be a redemption of the systems of the world. Okay, so it won't just. A lot of times we just want to snap our fingers and Aladdin's genie pops out and everything's solved. Okay. Well, that's not. It doesn't sound like that's what's going to happen here. And in my own life, I've seen that God sometimes instantaneously does things, but most of the time it's progressive, line upon line. This walking it out. Okay, so forth. So Jesus comes, rules and reigns. He sets up and he gives authority to those who have been faithful and rule and reign with him. Okay, so for 1,000 years. All right. So the systems of the world, spiritual, lake of fire. The systems of the world, God's going to redeem it. But there's still one area that is unredeemed.
The flesh.
The flesh. And as we read, at the end of it, the spiritual, the devil let out, he comes back, he deceives, and people actually fall for it. I'm still kind of boggling in my mind, in 1,000, however many years this is from now. But once the apocalypse happens, once Jesus comes back to rule and reign, 1,000 years, people are going to be born. Those 4 billion people are going to have kids, and who knows? We could end up with 100 billion people in 1,000 years. Because anyway, we won't get into all the population, but there's not overpopulation; it's the distribution of goods and resources that's the issue. Okay, but okay, so however many people it is, and then at that 1,000-year reign. The spiritual has been gone, the system of the world has been redeemed, and yet flesh will still rebel. Not everyone, but those who do will get devoured by fire. Kind of a, anticlimactic ending. So, if anything, if you take anything away from this video, question assumptions. Question assumptions, because a lot of times the Bible, we kind of get into this. Okay, this is what it means. I understand it. Once we. I'm going to go off topic. I'm just throwing away the script. Just going to throw it. There wasn't really much of a script. Okay, so, but a lot of times we limit ourselves by I understand everything. We want to try to get our script. And speaking of throwing away scripts, We want to get our scripts. We have our whole life planned or whatever. We have the whole, we figured out. We have our charts on the end times. We have charts in apocalypse. This beaker is going to go in the trumpet, and this seal is going to go here, and blah, 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 blah. We got it all figured out. And then God's like, you think you got it figured out? That was one of the funniest things when I did missionary work. One of the first trip I went on, they had this, says there's a song, Please Don't Send Me to Africa. Please don't send me to Africa. And the joke was, don't tell God you won't go to Africa. Because if you tell God you're not going to Africa, go ahead and start packing your bags because you're going to Africa. I mean, when we tell God, no, I'm not going to do that, he's like, really? I'm going to see about that. Okay, God's sense of humor is divine, but it's also a little mischievous. So we don't have everything figured out. I don't have everything figured out. Anna probably does. She's the quiet type. Still waters run deep. Very. Yeah. She's got it all figured out. But anyway, so think about this, question things, look at that. I just think it's fascinating. The apocalypse is going to be many times more complicated than the first time. And then you have this millennial, which a lot of things can happen there, and how that all progresses. Anyway, it's pretty interesting. So, any final words, Anna? And then my daughter? Yeah. Rascal says, Rascal the squirrel, the non-talking squirrel.
Says goodbye.
As opposed to all the other talking squirrels. Stay tuned, subscribe, link, put like below. Hey, did you hear that? Hit below, hit the like button, hit the like button. My grandpa needs people to watch his channel. He's really desperate. Oh, Rascal, don't say that. Come on, Rascal, give me some props here. Well, but he's right. Go ahead. Well, he's right about all that. Subscribe, like. Let us know what the next video was, and maybe point some other ideas about the millennial kingdom that are like, wait, no. Anyway, shalom, good evening to you, and true love, 12 love, it's what brings us together today. Oh, kisses, oh.